All right, we're here with the nice guy of MMA, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen, how we doing? How's life?
Doing good, man. I just got done with my second training session of the day. I got one more tonight, 2 weeks before I head to Salt Lake City for UFC 307, where I'll be facing off against Joaquin Buckley. But man, everything's going great. Training camp's going great. The weight's coming down, which is
Yep.
always never a fun thing, but it's coming down.
Yeah, totally. And where are you located right now that you already got two training sessions in? It's 12:30 Eastern time right now.
Yeah, dude. So I pretty much live at our gym. So we
Okay.
have a gym here in Simpsonville, South Carolina. We've been open. Well, my dad started it back in 1983. So we've been open for 41 years. We're in a 20,000 square foot facility. We have almost 1,000 students. We got four generations come through. Obviously, we have grandkids of parents and grandparents that have been through us. So
No.
we've been in the small town of Simpsonville for a very long time. So yeah, man, I wake up in the morning, headed to the gym. I get a training session in, right into the next training session, and for the rest of the day, I'll be teaching classes, picking up kids from school. You know, the whole shebang, living life.
Hell yeah. No, that sounds like a good way to. I love South Carolina. I lived in Charleston for a hot minute.
Oh, I love Charleston, man.
It's
My
amazing.
dad's from a little small place in Charleston called Monk's Corner.
Okay.
So very small town. There's only the only thing in there is like a swamp with like the biggest alligators you ever seen in your life in this swamp. But man, yeah, man, it's beautiful place. I love Charleston.
Yeah, yeah. I lived over on James Island, so it's an amazing.
Ooh, good spot,
Yeah.
man. Why did you leave? What
I
the
know. I
flip
wish I
did?
didn't. I'm like kicking and screaming. I want to go back. But yeah, so I mean, you got your Buckley flight coming up. How's training camp been? I mean, obviously you're doing a lot of training. Anything specifically that you're like focused in on? I mean, you've been in the game for a long time. Does anything change for you?
No, man, it really doesn't. I'm what I call a lifelong martial artist. So whether I have a fight coming up or not, I'm always in the gym training. I can't believe it, but there's a lot of guys at the top of the game in UFC who only train whenever they have fights coming up, which I guess is not a good thing because you're never progressing. You're always staying the same. So, like, I live it, man. I teach kids for a living. I've got guys that help me get ready for my fights coming up, and I obviously, in return, help them get ready for theirs. So it's just a lifestyle for me, man. I hate not coming into the gym. If I'm gone on vacation for a week, I'm itching at the bits to get back home so I can get back to training. And at this point in my life, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in February. But, you know, like there's a little mindset switch that I've had recently. It's obviously the gold is always there. The championship, the title is always there. But trying to make myself into a better fighter, like how good can I get? Like that's my goal. Like how good can I make myself, not just in striking, but wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But so it always keeps me hungry being in the gym, and it keeps me hungry to continue to be able to compete because I have guys coming to me all the time like, man, how do you stay hungry, man? I've been in the UFC for a while and I just lose that motivation. And that's kind of my motivation. And my test is to be facing those studs that'll be facing like, Joaquin Buckley. That's kind of like my quiz. That's my test to see where I'm at, what kind of skill level and everything that I've developed over the years. So yeah, man, I'm just a lifelong martial artist.
No, totally. And I train jiu-jitsu as well, so I don't know
Let's
it
go.
like you do, but like I definitely know like the mindset of it. It's like just how
Yeah,
like you see the levels of the games. Like it's like, oh man, like that guy's amazing, and then it's like, oh my God, and then someone else comes in, like that guy's better than that guy. And it's like Nate Orchard was
yeah,
at my gym yesterday. And it's like and then no one's better than Nate Orchard. So it's like it's really wild. And like you have fought like the guy, right? Shavkat Rakhmonov. You fought him in December. How good is that guy? Like, is he next level? Because you fought for the title multiple times. Like, is he better than Wonderboy? Is he better than Woodley was?
man, that's the thing. Like, Shavkat he's very tough, very good. He's good everywhere, but his mindset. He's very hard to break. You hit him once, he's trying to hit you three times. Very competitive opponent. But yeah, man, he's some guy that I could definitely see in the future fighting. I would love to see him fight Bilal for the title. Of course, you got somebody there, right there with him and Ian Gary. So either Shavkat fights Bilal or Ian Gary fights Shavkat for the chance to fight for the title. So the winner of that would I would love to see any one of those guys fight for the title. But Shavkat, man, he is definitely the best of the best, and it was awesome to be able to go out there and face off against him just to see where I'm at. It was one of the it's pretty funny because I was actually happy with myself, even though I lost the fight, because there was a lot of things that I was working on leading up to that fight, which was actually working.
Mhm.
I expected him to do more striking. I didn't expect him to do as much wrestling as he did. But man, I was kind of happy with my performance, even though I lost, because it shows progression in myself. But he's definitely somebody that could be a title holder here in the near future for sure.
I mean, it's not like you got dog walked to that fight. I mean, you definitely like you defended lot of takedowns, and he was definitely like really focused on wrestling. A fighter that we just saw that happen with was Sean O'Malley. He just got out wrestled. Have you ever looked at? He should probably ask you for some takedown defense help because you're such a good striker and you've gotten so good at takedown defense. Any like advice that you give for Sean O'Malley after a fight like that, losing the title?
Man, the thing is, the guy's been dominant for so long, and that's kind of how I was up until my second UFC fight. I was 57-0 in kickboxing, never lost in my combat career up until that point. But if I was talking with Sean O'Malley, I would say, look, man, when it happened to me, it was kind of a relief. Now I can just go out there and fight. I've lost. I know what it feels like. It's not that bad. Yes, it's disappointing, but at least you lost the way you did. You didn't get knocked out. You didn't get, pummeled the entire time. You got out wrestled. So there's something that you can always go back and work on. But now that you have lost and you've experienced that, now all you can do is go out there and fight. You know what I mean? There's nothing holding you back. There's no extra pressure. Having to feel like you have to win.
Right.
Just go out there and do what you do, man. And I think that's what helped me, which gave me that 7-8 fight winning streak after I lost to Matt Brown.
Yep.
It was like, man, the weight's off my shoulders. Now I can just go out here and do what I know I can do. And I got all the way to the title fight again with Tyron Woodley with that mindset. So, I mean, it's it sucks, but at the same time, you learn from it and keep on going, man.
No, absolutely. And like I said, you arguably won those fights as well against Woodley later on. Those two fights, majority decision, razor thin margins there. A couple strikes here and there might have changed the outcome a little bit. Kind of crazy. How do you see this fight going with Joaquin coming up? You have it coming up here in October, Salt Lake City pay-per-view main card.
Yeah.
You're as big of a draw as anybody. Everyone's looking forward to this fight. Buckley. Do you expect Buckley to grapple you or what? What are you thinking?
You know what? I think he will go out there. I mean, he's a very hard-headed guy. He's very strong-willed. So I think he's going to try to beat me at my own game plan.
Hmm.
He's going to try to strike me. But at some point in time when he feels like he can't, he's definitely going to be shooting. Like he did against that 6'5", God, I forgot the guy's name. He had just ended up doubling the guy to the ground.
Yeah,
and pretty much beating him that way. Yes.
Ruzi Baia.
So, yeah, I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
But the dude was 6'5", and very easy to get to the legs. I'm going to be a little bit harder to get to. With somebody like Joaquin Buckley, he's very explosive, very strong, very powerful. So I know his striking is good, kind of like a Mike Tyson style of a fighter. But at some point in time, he's definitely going to be looking to shoot. So the thing is, wherever the fight goes, I'm going to be ready for it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys that are like, are you going to knock this guy out? I never go out there looking for the knockout. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I always visualize my hand being raised at the end of that fight. Because I've been, especially in the past, looking for knockouts could wear you out. And when it doesn't happen, it could affect you mentally. Mm-hmm. So I just go out there and do my thing, man. I'm ready for a 5-minute round war if it comes to that. So I think he's going to be very tough, very hard to hit, explosive, and very strong in the clinch, especially. And I've got great guys, great training partners that I brought out, even Chris Weidman helping me with the wrestling. Obviously, he's got a fight coming up in November. So we're helping each other get ready.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And like, have you trained with Weidman before, like pre-injury and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, man. I started training with Chris Weidman. This was before his first fight with Anderson Silva.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's how we became close. We became good friends. I ended up going out, simulating Anderson Silva. He beat Silva. And ever since then, he's brought me to every one of his camps. He's brought me out to Long Island. Now He's a South Carolinian. He moved to South Carolina. My brother ended up marrying his sister. So he's family. Yeah, and they have 4 kids together. It's crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, man, he's family. Got the whole Weidman bunch down in South Carolina right now. So, which is a little bit easier. That all happened during COVID when everything shut down in New York. He's like, look, man, I got a fight coming up and I can't go to the gym and train. So we're looking to move to South Carolina. So we're like, come on, man, we're open, bro. Come on in. So we've been helping each other out for years.
That's amazing. Wow, that is crazy. I did not know that. Um, I know that Conor McGregor brought you into the Ultimate Fighter. I haven't heard you say anything too much about that. What was that like, that experience?
Super cool. I was out there doing a Jose Cuervo commercial
Hey,
with Kevin Holland.
wow.
So we were out there at the PI, spent like 2 days on set all day, man, like 6 a.m. till late. And I was getting ready to go back home. Me and my brother, Sweet Tea, were getting ready to go back home. And we were going to go get some dinner. We stopped by the PI, and lo and behold, there was Conor McGregor. Now, always been super cordial with Conor. We've been on the same fight cards. We're managed by the same management company. So we've always ran into each other, and we're always cordial. So he was getting a massage, went up, we started chatting. And then I went to dinner that night, getting ready to get on a plane and head back to South Carolina. When my manager called and said, listen, Conor McGregor wants you to be a guest coach on the Ultimate Fighter. I was like, bro, say no more. I'm
Right.
staying. So ended up hanging out, training some of the fighters on Team McGregor, which was super cool. I love teaching. That's like my jam. I can stop fighting right now and just coach. It's so much fun. I didn't become the fighter I am today if it wasn't for teaching, because
Mm.
now there's a certain level of understanding the technique and why you do it, how you do it, because you got to be able to teach it. So that was my jam, to be able to see those guys' eyes light up whenever I stepped out there to coach them. It was a ton of fun, man.
Yeah. And when were you doing any striking with him at all, like, or any actual training exercises with him directly? I want to know how he looked.
Um, Not with him personally. I was out there training with he was out there while I was training his guys. And there was a workout that he kind of covered, and I was a part of that. So he was kind of in return, kind of teaching me some of the things that he does with the other guys on his team. So I was out there working with those guys and being a training partner for him, being an uki, which is a partner, somebody who you demonstrate stuff on.
Right, right.
And so it was that was super cool, man. To be able to see the passion, which a lot of people didn't, and I don't think the UFC got a lot of this, which I think they should have, was the passion they had with teaching as well. The passion of teaching his guys was something that you normally don't see out of Conor McGregor, right? He was out there, I mean, giving advice left and right. It was the legit Conor McGregor, not the Conor McGregor that you see in front of a camera. It was the Conor McGregor that you would see in a gym, that in like a role model position, if you will, because all those guys were just like, cannot believe that they were there. It was like the first time that I trained with George St. Pierre. I was just like, what? Am I really here right now? That's kind of how they were. And it was cool to see him put them through their paces, man. It was really cool.
That's awesome. And like Michael Chandler, obviously that fight fell apart apparently within the last 3 days. Charles Oliveira, like, he's gonna be fighting him. Like, what was it like being around Chandler? Like, you guys kind of have similar, I guess, like maybe similar fan bases. You guys both just seem like the two of the nicest guys in MMA. Do you
Yeah,
guys
I know Chandler very well, actually.
do?
So he spent a lot of time in Long Island as well, training with Ali Quinta. When
Okay.
Ali Quinta was in the UFC, they were good training partners. This was when Chandler was still in Bellator.
Hmm.
So I got to hang out with Chandler and hang out with him. And of course, he was like, man, no. He was like, man, Wonderboy, why are you over there, training with the enemy? I was like, I'm sorry, man. I love you, dude. I love Connor. Sorry. It was just one of those kind of funny things that we kind of, picked on each other about, because I was with Connor, but I'm good friends with Chandler as well. But Chandler's a monster, man. I mean, it's really disappointing to be able to see that fight fall through, just because, number one, it would be exciting to see Conor McGregor come back and fight, but somebody against like Chandler, who's been just so dominant in the UFC and Bellator, just MMA period. But it was, man, I would love to have seen that fight. But I mean, Oliveira is I think they fought before, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oliveira won by knockout after Chandler
So
won the first round dominantly.
yeah, yeah. Man, it's literally at that level. It's a flip of a coin, man. Whoever shows up that night or whoever lands that perfect shot.
Yep.
That's why I never, at this point in time in my career, do I pick main event fights anymore because it could go either way. I
Mhm.
mean, who would have predicted Michael Bisping knocking out Rockhold at the time? Nobody saw that,
Nope.
right? Nobody saw that coming.
Yep.
So it's just like, man, at this level, like you cannot predict who's going to fight because you just never know.
That's what makes the sport so much fun.
100%. That's
Yeah.
why it's one of the fastest growing sports in the world, dude. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? I don't know if you saw the fights this past weekend, the Sphere, but that looked nuts, man. Looked crazy.
We need to get
I
another
don't know
fight.
if you saw that.
We need to get
It was
another fight
awesome.
over there. It looked amazing.
Yeah, 100%, man. But I mean, you know, the UFC has given a platform for me to be able to do what I do. I've been in the game for a long time. I think I'm the second oldest guy in the UFC behind Stipe,
Okay.
which is pretty cool at the same time. But at the same time, it's not because everybody looks at me as the old guy. I'm like, man, I don't feel old. Yeah,
Right.
I got a little bit of grays in there, but I don't feel old at all. I feel like I'm still getting better.
Yeah.
But it is cool to be on a fight card and have guys that are actually fighting that night with you wanting your autograph.
Right.
So I'm like, man, it's pretty cool, dude. And still be able to go out there and feel good and train. My goal is to definitely be one of the oldest guys in the UFC. That's
Yeah.
for sure. I got to make it past 45. You know what I mean? I
Good.
mean, I got to beat Couture's record.
Okay. That was going to be my next question was what do you see coming after this? You have Buckley in October. Say you get past that one. Odds makers have it close, like a pick 'em fight, which is pretty much most MMA fights, right? But
Yeah.
where do you see like after that? Do you have any opponents in mind for your next bout?
Well, I would love to see. Well, there was a guy that I was trying to fight for the longest time, ended up becoming welterweight champ was Leon Edwards.
Hmm.
So I know he just lost the title. He's definitely probably looking to try to fight him again. But I think that would be a great fight, a good fan fight for the fans because I've been trying to fight this guy for the longest time. He's a great striker as well, but he's not afraid to throw in the wrestling too. I mean, he's one of the only guys to be able to take down Kamaru Usman and hold him down the entire round. You know.
Right.
So, but he was always somebody that was on my radar that fight never actually happened. So I know he just lost the fight, but just for the fans, I think that would be a fun fight for sure.
Absolutely. I got another name. What about Jack Della? Jack Della Maddalena?
Oh yeah, Jack Della would be sick too. I know he's on a straight, fight. I don't know how many fights he's won. I know he's on like a crazy win streak.
Yeah.
I know he's looking for the title, but that would be a fun fight for sure. It's funny because all these guys that are coming up, Jack Della, the Ian Garys, the Shavkat Rachmanovs, they're like one fight away from getting a title. So somebody like me is not even on their radar.
Right.
So,
Well,
but still,
you seem like for them, I guess would be like the step in between, right? Like you would be
yeah,
the one that like if they can beat you, then they're title level. Like that proves that they're title level. Whereas if they can't beat you, then no, you're a title level guy. So there is no below. Like then you're just a secondary competitor, I guess, in the eyes of the
yeah,
UFC.
yeah. And I've talked to a lot of other fighters too, and that's what they said. It's like, yeah, man, you're like the gatekeeper that nobody wants to fight because you're still a very dangerous guy. Like, it would be different if it was somebody that, a gatekeeper that, I can beat this guy. But they're telling me is that, yes, I'm kind of like that gatekeeper, but that nobody wants to fight because I'm still very dangerous, that anything can happen. I can pull anything off out there in the fight, especially when it comes to the striking. And yes, my grappling is getting a little better. Obviously, there are guys in the UFC that have been, grappling and wrestling since they were 3 years old, just like I have striking. So, you know, I'm still getting better every day. Still learning the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu game. So, and during this fight, man, with Joaquin, I'm hoping to showcase a little bit of that as well.
Mhm.
Just because at this point in time, I gotta throw in my wrestling and jiu-jitsu. There was a point in my early career where I out wrestled my opponent, and there was somebody in the top of the UFC came to me after the fight and was like, "Look, Steven, it wasn't your wrestling that got you here." And he just left it at that. I was like, "All right, I'm picking up what you're putting down." So I just stuck to my striking and just did what everybody wanted to see, which made me exciting for sure. But when you're at the top of the game, like with a lot of these guys who are high level grapplers, I got to showcase some of that as well. I got to throw that in just to
Right.
keep them guessing.
No, yeah, 100%. I know at one point you were talking about Colby Covington was a fight that was maybe going to happen. I haven't heard anything from him. Is he still in the UFC? I don't even
I
know.
don't
He's
know,
all
man.
dropped off face of the earth.
He did, man. I have no idea what happened after his last fight. Like he just dropped off. I haven't heard anything from him. I don't know. But I mean, it you could throw anybody at me and I'll say yeah.
Right.
I mean, if they're deserving of it. You know what I mean? When I was at the top of the game, when I was ranked number one, there was a lot of people that the UFC was trying to throw at me that weren't deserving of it. There was more guys that were deserving that were right underneath me that deserved that shot. But at the same time, when I was coming up, like Joaquin is doing right now, there were the Ellenbergers and the Johnny Hendricks and the Roy McDonalds that gave me that chance to come up, and I want to give that back to them, which is why I'm one of the only guys who isn't just trying to hold on to a spot.
Mhm.
And you see that a lot in the UFC now. Guys get to a spot and they just try to hold on to it. They
Right.
don't want to fight anybody underneath them, but which is why I fight the Jeff Neals, the Vicente Luques, the Kevin Hollands, and the Joaquin Buckleys. You got to fight these. You got to give these young bucks a chance to come up and prove themselves.
Sound like Dustin Poirier saying that because Dustin Poirier took the Benoit Saint the knee fight, and everyone was like, "Well, why would you take that fight? He's ranked 15, and you're ranked 2."
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
happened?
give them a shot, man. I mean, it also shows where you're at, where your level is too. It's kind of a test to see how you do against these new up and coming guys, right?
Hmm.
Yes, I come from an era where there were just specialists, you know. In 2012, 11, 2010, you had the Anderson Silvas, the Matt Hugheses, there were grappling specialists, the Damian Mayas, there were wrestling specialists, there were striking specialists. Now everybody's good everywhere, and that kind of come from that era. But I'm glad to still be in the game, and still having people say, "Hey, Stephen Thompson is still a threat."
Right.
A threat such in the fact that there are guys out there that are willing to make the fight boring just to win.
Right.
Let me just hold you here. I'm just going to hold you down,
Hmm.
which shows how threatening I am on my feet.
Exactly. So best case scenario, next 3 years, what do you have in your head? Anything?
Man, right now, obviously the title is number one, but I think most of all is staying hungry and trying to improve myself. I think with that mindset, with always trying to evolve, always trying to get better, success will come. So I think with the good win over Joaquin Buckley, we'll get somebody either on the same level as him, or maybe on the same level as me. Maybe not somebody ranked above me, which I would love to fight Leon Edwards. But we'll see what happens, man. Maybe somebody falls out and I'll be able to jump up and fight somebody ranked above me.
Yep.
But I think with another, one or two more wins, we could be looking at another shot at number one contender or another title shot. It's always right there.
Yeah.
But you got to go out there and put on a show. If you make it boring, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
You got to put on a show. And
Yep.
that's what I'm about. I always want to go out there and put on a show for the fans in the UFC.
You've always been that guy, and I think that's why fans love you so much. I know you got stuff going on outside of the octagon as well. I need to hear about it. You have the face for Hollywood, and you have the agent who can help you get to Hollywood. So, talk to me about your outside of the octagon life. I know we talked about the family, but I want to hear about like the business stuff.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we have close to 1,000, almost 1,000 students here at Upstate Karate. I'm here every day, picking up kids to school, teaching classes. I would love to get into some acting or maybe some commentating. We have our own YouTube channel on YouTube, me and Sweet Tea. We're right at 600,000 subscribers. We've hit 100,000 subscribers a year. We started 5 years ago, so it's getting bigger, better. Doing fight breakdowns. So that's always been something that's been interesting to me is be able to go out there, do some commentating, or even acting. I've been in Cobra Kai, doing some cool
Yeah.
stuff like that. So you never know, man. You might see me out there on the big screen, which would be a lot of fun. So we're working on that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's make that happen. And I appreciate you. Good luck in October. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank
And
you, my friend. I appreciate you having me on, brother.